Casey Anthony is facing neglect and obstruction charges for reporting her 2-year-old daughter missing more than a month after she disappeared.
The 22-year-old waited nearly a month before telling police that her child had gone missing. She told authorities she had been conducting her own investigation. Investigators eventually searched the backyard of a home belonging to Anthony's parents. They also checked out a car she'd been driving. Police told a judge after that search the vehicle smelled like decomposition.
A Florida appeals court denied a request by Casey Anthony's mother to reduce bond to $10,000. The 22-year-old is being held on a $500,000 bail.
She's in a cell by herself most of the day. She can have reading material in there. There's a toilet and a sink in there and a bed. But other than that, she has a pretty much austere, as I said earlier, condition.
Police say she lied to them and didn't report her daughter Caylee missing for more than a month.
Let's begin here. A quiet middle-class neighborhood of Orlando where George Anthony, a former sheriff's deputy now in the security business, and his wife Cindy, a registered nurse, raised their son Lee and daughter Casey.
Casey was always a good student. She was always the mom of the crowd, always took care of everybody, and they still call her mom her friends.
After high school, Casey got a job working at the Universal Studios theme park. It was there Casey met a young guy named Jesse Grund.
It was kind of the love at first sight type thing.
Jesse and Casey started dating in January 2005, and their relationship blossomed. Though it did come as something of a shock to Jesse when Casey told him 6 months later that she was pregnant and that he was the father.
My exact words to her were, "I'm not ready to be a parent. You're not ready to be a parent. Let's give the child up to someone, some family who can't have kids, who is ready to be parents." And she said, "No. I'm not going to carry this child around for 9 months and give birth to it and then give it up to somebody else. This is my child."
On August 9, 2005, little Caylee Marie Anthony was born. Her birth certificate never listed a father. A paternity test showed that it wasn't Jesse, the boyfriend. It didn't matter. Jesse was as smitten with the baby girl as he'd been with her mother. Jesse proposed, and Casey said yes.
She was crying, and it was probably one of the happiest moments of my life.
But 5 months later, Casey, who was still living with her parents, broke off the engagement. She told Jesse she was happier on her own. And she did indeed seem happy. She took to motherhood with apparent joy. And her parents couldn't have been more supportive. To them, Caylee's arrival seemed like a gift from heaven.
Barely 3, but you got her little girl personality there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she lights up the room and she controls the house.
All of which makes the events of last Father's Day weekend, when Caylee Anthony suddenly disappeared, that much more of a mystery. That Sunday, June 15th, grandmother Cindy took Caylee to visit her great-grandfather in his nursing home. This home video, taken during that visit, contains the last confirmed pictures we have of Caylee.
Give Papa a hug and kiss, Kate. Caylee, give him a kiss.
We spent a wonderful day together, and then Casey came home and we had a great evening that evening.
All right, we're getting a new account now of what happened the day that Caylee Anthony's family last saw little girl alive. Casey, after a family fight, Casey took off with Caylee Father's Day evening, and that's the last they saw of him. Leonard Padilla is talking about a family fight, chokehold.
There was a big ruckus on the night of the 15th on Father's Day when Cindy confronted Casey about having ripped off her mother's rest home account. And according to Lee and Jesse Grund, there was this big knockdown drag-out where Cindy actually had her hands around Casey's throat.
Starting at about 3 o'clock, there is a flurry of cell phone activity from Casey's phone. Some of those calls, 6 in a row, that are just a minute or two apart, trying to get a hold of her father, 6 phone calls to her mother, and 2 other individuals which we are not describing at this time. these calls were unanswered, and this flurry, the way it was described, the flurry is one call after another, separated by a minute and a half, going to the same person, a different place, a home, a business, a cell phone, and just constant, and it keeps up, and there's no answers.
This series of security photos were taken at the Blockbuster video store the day Caylee claims her daughter disappeared.
June 16th, Caylee was spotted here at a Blockbuster video store browsing for movies with a boyfriend, Anthony Lazzaro.
They rented the action-adventure flick, The Bank Job.
He later told investigators that Caylee never once mentioned anything about Caylee going missing.
No phone calls from babysitters. Nope. Like I said before, every time she'd talk on the phone, she was pretty, not secretive about it, but, any conversation about her child at all? No.
Now, the activity ceases for about 2 hours at about 4 o'clock, and then continues several other phone calls to the mother, the father, and a couple other individuals between about 6 and about 7:30. The grandparents are telling me that on the 16th, when Caylee and Caylee are leaving that morning at 12:50, the previous night, Cynthia, the grandmother, and Caylee swam in the pool. After they were done, they take a ladder which snaps off, and then they take the ladder away from the pool so Caylee can't climb up it by herself. Now, nobody swam in the pool after that night on Sunday. Nobody swam there on Monday. And then Tuesday morning, they noticed that the ladder was back up on the pool, hooked up, and the gate on the side of the house was open. So it's interesting information considering the activity that preceded that on the day before.
Investigators interviewed the Anthony's next-door neighbor, who remembered that sometime between June 17th and 20th, just a couple of days after Caylee disappeared, Caylee had backed up her car into the Anthony's garage, and she'd come over to borrow a shovel.
I was doing my yard work, and I was in front. I had already mowed. I was using a weed blower and blowing off the grass, and Caylee had approached me and asked me if she could borrow a shovel. She needed to dig up a bamboo root she'd been tripping over.
What time of day was this?
Approximately 1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And gave her a shovel I had, and then I followed her back out front, and she walked into her garage, and at that point her car was already backed in and their garage door was open. She walked into the garage.
The next door neighbor is in the yard when she borrows the shovel, and the next door neighbor notes that she backed her car into the driveway, and he never saw her do that before. Unusual, possibly, connected, possibly, but he still noted that. So it's interesting how these things all kind of tie in together in a very suspicious series of events.
Records show Caylee did not use her cell phone at all on June 18th, 2 days after Caylee disappeared and the day she borrowed her neighbor's shovel.
What was happening, what was going on that would cause her to break her routine or her habit?
Now, investigators don't know exactly when Caylee's body was dumped here, which day, but believe it could have been that day that Caylee did not use her cell phone.
Also, more photos of Caylee in the days that followed reveal a careless party girl, bumping and grinding with friends at an Orlando nightclub.
On June 25th, 9 days after Caylee Anthony was last seen, Caylee contacted her good friend, Amy Huzenga. Quote, "It smells like something died in my car," Caylee told her. 2 days later, Caylee sent Huzenga a text message.
Okay.
And so then on the 27th, I have a text message from her saying that it was when she had, the same day that she had run out of gas, when she was telling me about that.
So she told you she ran out of gas at 27th?
On the 27th, yes. And I have text messages that say that she ran out of gas. She had run out of gas the week before. There's one that says ran out of gas, 2 Fridays in a row. How does that work? She kept telling me that she was thinking she was having a problem with her fuel gauge. But the message on the 27th says there's definitely a part of an animal plastered to the frame of my car, which was the end of the mystery. She told me that she had, gotten rid of it, and I never heard anything about a smell again.
The text message.
The text message was the animal with the frame on the car. I think I talked to her after that. I'm not sure. I'd have to check my messages, but I kind of think I probably called her after that, because then she told me about running out of gas and blah, 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 blah. So I probably called her, because I'm pretty sure I talked to her while she said she was waiting for Tony to come pick her up.